Imagine yourself with your husband, standing beside the bed of your little girl in the hospital, and she lay unconscious. And your doctor tells you that either she passes, or if she stays, she's going to be a vegetable. What are you going to do? Today I'm going to share with you the story of my little girl who at 4 years old got sick with viral encephalitis. How we as a family came together to help her go through her struggles. Her struggles were our struggles. She's with us today because of her determination and because of love and faith. I'll never forget that day, and that's why I wanted to share this with you, because as a mom, your heart will break so many times. Each time your daughter gets sick, even my husband's heart broke a lot of times. We cried buckets of tears. That night is still very vivid to me. She had fever, and then the fever went away, and on the third day she had no more fever, but she was crying. And now I understand, because now that I know how encephalitis causes or can show symptoms through migraines, she must have had such a painful migraine, but she was 4. She cried and her face was so red, and she was looking at me crying for help. And she was trying to use the potty. And so I went there and cuddled her because she couldn't really move. And then in a few minutes, she fell unconscious. She had no fever. We rushed her to the emergency, and we were told by the doctor that if you are unconscious or if you go into a seizure, which was actually what happened to her, and you don't have fever, something's wrong with the brain. Febrile seizures or seizures caused by very high fever would be normal, although very scary. But without fever, that was something. She was on oxygen for the next 30 minutes, and she was unresponsive. And after she started breathing on her own, they removed her oxygen. She was losing color. And we prayed like we've never prayed before. There was this woman who went to our side, and she placed her arms on the chest of my little girl, and she prayed so fervently. And then she looked at me and said, "Are you the mom?" And she said, "Your daughter will be okay." And then she left. After that, a few minutes, we were wheeled into our room where we stayed for the next over a month, more than 30 days. For the next 2.5 days, my husband and I couldn't eat. We would speak in between tears, just looking at our daughter who was unconscious. She was in a coma. And we prayed and we asked God to listen to us. And we actually told God that if she was going to live, but will be bullied all her life, if she was going to experience so much difficulty, or will be in pain, or would live in a very abnormal manner, if she was going to be happier with him in heaven, then it was okay for him to take her home. Because we told him that after all, he was still her father. We were only her parents on earth, and everything we have is borrowed. Right after we surrendered her to him and acknowledged that we all belong to him, that we are nothing without him, my little girl cried. She recovered from her coma, and she started to suck her thumb, which was her instinct. So we had that little bit of a relief, very temporary though. We were happy as we watched her open her eyes and cry. But as the night grew, I would notice that her eyes were fixated to one corner. And I was very scared. I would talk to her and move, but her eyes were just fixed in one corner until slowly they rolled up. And then she once again fell into her coma. A deep sleep. As they say, encephalitis is a sleeping illness. And she lay there for the next month. We talked to her. I'd sing to her, tell her stories. We would play her favorite nursery rhymes, and I would comb her hair. But then I really couldn't, because every time I combed her hair, or even touched her hair, strands would fall. She lost a lot of weight. We would feed her through tubes, and she had a lot of tubes all over her body, her little body. We called on God, we stormed heaven with our prayers, and we could hardly eat. But we never gave up. I would talk to her, we would talk to her and told her we loved her so much and couldn't wait for her to come home. After 30 days, she woke up from her long sleep, no more tubes and everything. And then I asked her, do you want to play your little piano? Because we bought her this little piano. And she nodded her head. She couldn't speak. She lost her speech. She's always been right-handed, but at that time, the right part of her body was already paralyzed. And this fist was here, just here. And she used her left fist to play with the keys on her piano. And she wouldn't look at the piano. She was just staring blankly. And then I realized that she lost her sight as well. My daughter was blind. MRIs and X-rays and all of that stuff, exams and laboratory tests showed that a part of the left hemisphere of her brain was damaged more than the right. So that was connected to the right extremities, and that explained why she was paralyzed. But because a part of the back of her brain was also infected, she lost her sight. And it broke my heart. It broke my heart to pieces. But because she could already eat, we were okay to go home. So we went home. For the next 6 months, I stayed with her. Every day I would wake up and pray and ask God, is this the day that she will see me again? I asked God to take away one eye from me and give it to her. I didn't want to be blind, I said, because I want to see her grow up. I want to tie her hair. I want to put ribbons on her hair. I want to watch her grow. I want to bring her to dance. I want to hear her talk. I want to see her beautiful face. You know, as Catholics, we would have these regular prayers of devotion that you would say at specific hours of the day. I prayed so many. Among them was the 3 o'clock prayer to Jesus, the Divine Mercy, where I would ask Jesus to pour His most precious blood on my girl and heal her and touch her. Every 3 o'clock, every day without fail, I would pray and lift my arms in prayer and ask God. At that time, with all the medications being given her, the tests, the checkups, prayer and faith were our biggest weapons. After 6 months, I noticed that when I was praying, I lifted my hands in prayer, and my little girl lifted her arms, following me, and I stopped, and I said, Lord, what is this I'm seeing? I was afraid, but not afraid. I was excited, but scared. I didn't want to be disappointed. So I put my hands together, slowly, showing them to my girl, and I did this. And you know what? My girl followed. She did exactly what my hands did. And I looked at her, and I did it again. And she followed again. And I felt like I was reborn. I felt like all the thorns that were pricking my heart melted away. And I hugged my girl and said, you can see. You can see. The years that followed were a constant struggle with therapy and relearning. She had to learn to speak again. She was bullied, but she's a strong girl. And I know that she was going to survive the bullying because that was my agreement with God. that if she was going to be bullied here so much that she'll be so sad, it was okay for her to go home. She survived the bullying when she was in grade 1 and was finally trying to write again. Her classmates would grab her notebook and pass them around and laugh at her. Again, my heart broke. We would be at the principal's office so many times because of how she was bullied. We moved to Canada and things changed. She actually functioned like everyone else, because you wouldn't even notice that she has some form of a disability. Everything is normal. She's the happiest girl, the most charming girl that you would know, even if her limbs are slow. And sometimes she forgets that she has this slowness because she just wants to do everything like any normal person. She graduated from high school. She had A's in marketing class, and she cooks every wonderful dish from the heart, and we love what she does. And she has her own little business right now where she sells masks to protect everyone. We are very, very proud of her. She's the most wonderful assistant that I have for my TV show, eveRIAthing. She's my researcher. She would write scripts for some of our episodes. She would organize my calendar. She's my coordinator. She's my assistant. She's my personal alarm clock. She's very efficient. And you would never know that she's been through so much. She is a survivor of encephalitis. And today, it's World Encephalitis Day. And we join everyone to celebrate everyone's survival, everyone's recovery. And we're here to share compassion with all the families who are going through the struggles that we've been through, to everyone who's sick of encephalitis and is trying to pick up the pieces. Don't lose hope. Hang in there. If you believe in God, believe with all your heart. If not, find a superior being that's bigger than you. Faith is something you want to hold on to. Ask questions, get resources, talk to people, share your story. Come together, because in unity we can find answers. We're hoping that through this awareness, we can get more resources, we can get more government support, we can get employers to understand why there are people who could be slow, but they don't want to be slow. That there are people who are actually smart and intelligent, but some of their limbs just couldn't function as fast as others. It's a disability that we have to cope with, but there are other parts of our body that can make up for a disability. And don't forget to ask your doctor for help and share your story. Be happy, be grateful for everything that you have. And this is why, as a mom, as a person, I am grateful for every little thing that we have. We have struggles, we have problems, but you know what? I've been through the darkest moments and I've seen the light. And we've risen after every fall. So why should I give up? This is my eldest daughter's story, and I'm sharing this as a sign of hope for everyone. Together we can be strong. We can learn to be compassionate. We can learn to accept everyone for who they are. Beauty is within, never on the surface. Thank you for listening. Love and light, everyone.